Hello, travelers! Welcome back to the Voyager Diary. This is the fourth and final episode of my China journey. And today I'm standing in Beijing, one of the most powerful and historic cities in the world. And in the next few minutes, I'll walk through places that shaped Chinese civilization, from the legendary Great Wall of China to the Imperial Palace of Forbidden City, the sacred temple of heaven, and the powerful Tiananmen Square. চীন ব্লগের শেষ ভাগে রইল চীনের সপ্তম আশ্চর্য, দ্য গ্রেট ওয়াল অফ চায়নার সঙ্গে একাধিক জায়গা। But what fascinated me the most was discovering a hidden connection between India and China that goes back more than 2000 years. So come with me as we explore Beijing in the final chapter of the Voyager Diary. Today I take you through my experience, from walking one of the 8 wonders of the world to discovering the cultural threads that quietly connect China and India. So let's begin. Beijing is not just a capital city, it is a living museum of over 3000 years of history. Imagine more than 24 Chinese emperors ruled from here for nearly 5 centuries. And yet today, Beijing is also a modern megacity of over 21 million people, where ancient imperial gates stand next to futuristic skyscrapers. একদিকে প্রাচীন ইতিহাস, ঠিক তার উল্টো দিকেই বিরাট সারি সারি মডার্ন স্ট্রাকচারের বিল্ডিং। বেজিং যেন একই সঙ্গে অতীত আর ভবিষ্যৎ। From my hotel room window, the city looked endless. At night, Beijing does not sleep. মাঝরাতে রুমে বসে গোটা শহর দেখে কাটিয়েছি। The streets glow with lights, and surprisingly, food is available almost 24 hours a day. You walk into restaurants where fresh ingredients are displayed right in front of you. Vegetables, seafood, meats, and chefs cook your meal live before your eyes. For a traveler, that experience feels both exciting and comforting. One thing that made our Beijing journey smooth was the incredible support from the Embassy of India in Beijing. Our transportation and logistics were arranged, so we could focus entirely on experiencing the city rather than worrying about travel details. And then we met someone who'd become an important part of our journey, our translator. What began as a professional guide slowly turned into a friendship across country. We also had the opportunity to interact with many important people, ministers and directors of top universities, which was truly an unique experience. Now here's something many Indians may not realize. The cultural connection between India and China goes back over 2000 years. ভারত চীনের যোগ প্রায় 2000 বছরের। ভারত আর চীনের সম্পর্ক শুধুই ভূগোলের নয়, এটা হাজার হাজার বছরের সাংস্কৃতিক ও আধ্যাত্মিক যোগসূত্র। The bridge between the two civilizations was Buddhism. ভাবতেই অবাক লাগে, হাজার বছর আগে মানুষ এত দীর্ঘ পথ পাড়ি দিত শুধু জ্ঞান আর আধ্যাত্মিকতার সন্ধানে। Indian monks traveled to China carrying scriptures and spiritual teachings. One of the most famous among them was Bodhidharma, believed to have traveled from India to China in the 5th and 6th century. It is traditionally associated with the origins of Zen Buddhism in China, but the connection also moved to other way. Chinese monk Zhuangzang traveled thousands of kilometers to study in India at ancient University of Nalanda University. His travel writings later became one of the most important records of ancient India. So when you walk through Beijing today, you are not just in China. You are walking through a space where Indian philosophy once traveled and transformed cultures That realization for me felt deeply spiritual. Our first major stop was Tiananmen Square. The square is one of the largest public squares in the world. Standing there, you feel the scale immediately. It can hold nearly 1 million people at once. I had heard about the historical events that took place here, and standing in the same place felt surreal. We were fortunate to witness the highly choreographed military ceremony performed by Chinese soldiers. The procession was extraordinary. Every moment, every step, every formation was executed with almost mechanical perfection. Another highlight of Beijing for me was visiting the CAFA Art Museum, part of the Central Academy of Fine Arts. If you want to understand a country beyond politics or headlines, look at its art. Inside the museum, you see evolution of Chinese creativity, from traditional ink paintings to contemporary installations. And what struck me was how many things felt familiar to Indian sensibilities: nature, spirituality, balance, philosophy. Both civilizations have always believed that art is not decoration, it is reflection. And then came the moment I had been waiting for: the journey to the Great Wall of China, often called one of the 7 wonders of the world. This wall stretches over 21,000 kilometers across mountains, deserts, and grasslands. Standing at its base, the wall looked endless, but I decided to climb and walk. And keep walking. The path was steep, uneven, and incredibly long. Walking the Great Wall of China was one of the most unforgettable experiences of my Beijing travel log. And from the top of the Great Wall of China, I noticed something fascinating. Far below the mountains, sleek lines of Chinese high-speed bullet trains were gliding across the landscape near Beijing. It felt like watching 2 eras of history meet: an ancient wall built centuries ago and the speed of modern China racing through the valleys. একদিকে হাজার বছরের পুরনো প্রাচীর, আর অন্যদিকে চোখের সামনে ছুটে চলেছে আধুনিক বুলেট ট্রেন, যেন একই ফ্রেমে অতীত আর বর্তমান। After nearly 2 hours of walking along the wall, I finally returned to the point where I started after getting tired, with 2 cameras in both hands, shooting each moment and walking the steep stairs. The more I was going up, the more harder it was getting. But something inside me had shifted, because the Great Wall is not just a structure, it is a reminder: human determination. Millions of walkers built it across centuries, brick by brick, stone by stone. And walking on it feels like walking through layers of human history and resilience. For me, the journey felt almost liberating. Next came the legendary Forbidden City. This is arguably the most famous palace complex in Chinese history. And here's an incredible fact: it is the largest preserved royal palace complex in the entire world. Built in the 15th century during the Ming Dynasty, the Forbidden City contains nearly 980 buildings and over 8,700 rooms. Isn't it insane? For centuries, ordinary people were forbidden from entering this place, which is why it came to be known as the Forbidden City. Walking through its massive courtyards and red golden halls, you cannot help but imagine the lives of emperors, ministers, and royal families who once walked the same paths. We waited quite some time just to absorb the architecture. Back in the city, the night revealed another side of Beijing. The streets were still buzzing with activity, and from my hotel window, watching the glowing skyline, I realized something important. Travel breaks stereotypes. When we actually visit places, talk to people, eat their food, and walk their streets, we see humanity beyond politics. India and China are two of the world's largest civilizations. For centuries, we exchanged ideas from Buddhism to art, philosophy, and trade along the Silk Road. ভ্রমণ আমাদের একটা জিনিস শেখায়, পৃথিবীকে কাছ থেকে দেখলে মানুষ আর সংস্কৃতির মধ্যে দূরত্বটা আসলে অনেকটাই কমে যায়। This was my final episode from China. From ancient temples to modern megacities, from art museums to walking the Great Wall, this journey has been both intellectually enriching and spiritually grounding. If you enjoy traveling with me through China, do like, share, and subscribe the Voyager Diary. And tell me in the comments which destination should we explore next.